Today is Wednesday, July 30th. We'll tell you what we're learning about the motive in the deadliest mass shooting in New York City in 25 years, and President Trump's new explanation for his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein. Also, where Americans are on alert for a potential tsunami. Plus, what to know about the new CDC director, a massive new railroad merger, and the meteor showers lighting up the sky this week. Those stories and even more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in about 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Lacey Evans, filling in for Erica Mandy today. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. As New York City mourns 4 people killed in Manhattan this week, investigators are sharing more information about the gunman. They say the shooter was specifically targeting the NFL. The league has offices in the Park Avenue building where the man opened fire, but authorities say he wasn't able to actually reach those offices because he took the wrong elevator. So instead, he killed a police officer, a security guard, a building associate, and a financial executive before turning the gun on himself. Investigators have since found a note in his wallet that claimed he had brain trauma from playing football, and he accused the NFL of covering up dangers of the game. The gunman also asked that he be examined for signs of the brain disease CTE that can only be officially diagnosed after death. CTE has already been linked to concussions and other head trauma that's common in contact sports like football. And former NFL players who were found to have had CTE experienced symptoms like impulsive behavior, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Now, the New York City medical examiner says the shooter's brain will be studied. Investigators also hope to learn more by visiting his home in Las Vegas. Stay tuned. President Trump has doubled down on his calls for more aid in Gaza. He says the U.S. will partner with Israel to run new food centers in the enclave to address the worsening humanitarian crisis. But so far, there aren't many details about the plan or how it will be different from distribution centers already set up. It comes as the United Nations-backed food security group said the worst-case scenario of famine is playing out in Gaza. And Gazan health authorities say at this point in the war, 60,000 Palestinians have been killed. Those numbers have been described as reliable by the World Health Organization. On the Israel side, the death toll is estimated at about 1,700, mostly from the initial terror attack in October of 2023. In Gaza, the Israeli military insists it's not targeting Palestinian civilians, only terrorists. But as we've mentioned before, Hamas is known for operating around civilians as a way to use them as human shields. Now, dozens of American senators are calling on the Trump administration to resume ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas. Pressure is also coming from the UK, where Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Britain will officially recognize a Palestinian state. That is, unless Israel agrees to a series of demands, like a ceasefire with Hamas, an agreement not to annex the West Bank, and more. France has already made a similar declaration. To be continued. President Trump is giving some more insight into his past relationship with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and how it ended. Trump explained that Epstein was kicked out of his club for hiring workers away from Mar-a-Lago. He says the workers were young women, including one of Epstein's accusers, who was 16 when she worked at Trump's resort. The president also says his fallout with Epstein happened long before the disgraced financier was charged with sex trafficking. Still, lawmakers, including many of Trump's own allies, are pressing for more information. They want the Trump administration to release all of the evidence the Justice Department has on the Epstein case, and they want to hear from Epstein's longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now in prison for helping Epstein sexually abuse underage girls. Maxwell's lawyers responded to a request from one House committee yesterday, saying she would only testify in front of lawmakers if she was granted immunity from any future charges. The committee rejected that request. Maxwell already spoke to a top Justice Department official, but at this point, it's not clear what may have come out of that meeting. The EPA is now planning to get rid of the legal basis behind the government's authority to combat climate change. Specifically, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin says he's issuing plans to overturn the agency's scientific finding that greenhouse gases threaten human health and welfare. It was first published in 2009, and now it's used to justify and apply limits on emissions from cars, power plants, factories, and more. Without it, it would be difficult for the EPA to regulate greenhouse gases at all. EPA Chief Lee Zeldin says these efforts will save trillions of dollars in regulatory costs, making it more affordable to buy a car, heat a home, and run a business. But critics say it will be costly in the long term, since climate change has the potential to worsen natural disasters and make Americans sicker. Either way, it could take years for the EPA to go through with the rulemaking process to unwind all the regulations and findings, and then we'll have to survive legal challenges. A magnitude 8.8 earthquake struck Russia's Far East yesterday. The quake is likely to be in the top 10 strongest ever recorded. Some damage was reported, but amazingly, no serious injuries. Now, the worst of it might still be to come. Tsunami alerts are in effect as far away as the U.S. West Coast, and people in Hawaii are having to evacuate to higher ground. The National Weather Service says a tsunami could cause damage along coastlines of all Hawaiian islands, no matter what direction they face. Most areas along the U.S. Pacific coast can expect a tsunami of less than a foot. But even a tsunami of that size can cause dangerous currents. So people are being told to take advisories seriously and to keep an eye on the latest weather reports. More news is still coming up, but first, here's Erica to talk about our sponsor, Hiya Health.
One easy way that I've found to make sure my kiddo is getting the nutrition he needs is with Hiya's children's vitamins. In fact, even before they became a sponsor, I was giving my son their best-selling children's vitamins and the Hiya probiotics already. Why? Well, most children's vitamins seem basically like candy in disguise, but not Hiya. Hiya has 0 sugar and 0 gummy junk. They're instead pediatrician-approved chewables that my son seriously looks forward to having every morning. Plus, I appreciate that every single batch is third-party tested for heavy metals and microbials in a qualified GMP-compliant lab using scientifically validated testing methods. Oh, and if you're tired of battling with your kids to eat their greens, Hiya now has Kids Daily Greens Plus Superfoods. It's a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with more than 55 whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion. Just scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids will actually enjoy. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. Yeah, half off. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy. This deal is not available on their regular website, so go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy, hiyahealth.com/newsworthy, and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
Now, back to the news. The CDC finally has a new leader. The Senate confirmed longtime health scientist Susan Monterez to run the public health agency. She is the first CDC director to serve in the role without a medical degree in more than 70 years. And now she's taking over a CDC that's going through a lot of changes. Thousands of workers have left in recent months, and support for many programs has been cut. At her confirmation hearing, Monterez says one of her top priorities will be restoring trust in the CDC and making sure all recommendations are backed by gold standard science. She also said she wants to modernize public health infrastructure and respond quickly to future disease outbreaks. The vote to confirm her was 51-47 along party lines. President Trump wrapped up his trip in Scotland with a little family business. He opened a new Trump golf course along with 2 of his sons, and they all played around. With this new addition, the Trump organization now owns or operates 16 golf courses around the world, and even more are under development. The whole trip was centered around golf and his family's luxury properties, but President Trump also handled plenty of official business too. He held talks with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and finalized the trade framework for tariffs between the U.S. and European Union. Now, Trump is back in Washington, D.C., where he says he plans to, quote, put out fires all over the world. America's first coast-to-coast rail network could soon become a reality. Freight rail giant Union Pacific announced a new deal to acquire another large railroad, Norfolk Southern. Union Pacific operates west of the Mississippi River, and Norfolk Southern's tracks are mostly east of it. So combined, the company would span the whole country across 50,000 miles and 43 states. It's an $85 billion deal, the largest ever in the railroad sector, that's already been massively consolidated. All that said, the deal still needs to be approved by regulators, and they'll have a lot to consider. Union Pacific says it will mean faster, more reliable freight delivery that can better compete with trucking companies. But some rail unions worry the deal could undermine safety and threaten job security. And some lawmakers have raised concerns about higher costs. Still, the companies are hoping to complete their merger with regulators' approval by 2027. This week, there are 3 active meteor showers on display, and 2 of them are reaching their peak. We're talking about the Alpha Capricornids and the Southern Delta Aquarids. And since the moon is only about a quarter full, you might be able to see some bright meteors if you look up at the sky after midnight. If you want to check them out, scientists say it's best to find a dark area away from light pollution and give your eyes up to 30 minutes to adjust to the dark without phones or other bright lights. Then be patient. It's possible you don't see more than 5 meteors an hour. If you can't catch the meteor showers this week, don't worry. The Perseids are actually considered the best meteor shower of the year, and they peak in roughly 2 weeks. And that's it for the main news today, but it's now time for Work Wednesday, when we break down one interesting career or work-related news story every Wednesday. But first, Erica is back to thank our sponsor, OneSkin.
It's that time of year you're going to need to protect your skin from the sun. That's why you'll want to use a broad-spectrum sunscreen every day. And my favorite is OneSkin's SPF Face. It's my daily go-to for the face because I love how lightweight it is, so it doesn't feel greasy or too thick on my face. And yet I feel confident knowing it's protecting and repairing my skin at the same time in that one simple step. In fact, OneSkin's SPFs block UV rays with non-nano zinc oxide and neutralize the free radicals that come from not only UV, but also pollution and blue light with a potent blend of antioxidants like vitamin C and the OS1 peptide. OneSkin was founded in 2016 by an all-woman team of scientists with PhDs in skin regeneration, stem cell biology, immunology, and bioinformatics. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. For a limited time, you can try OneSkin with 15% off using code NEWSWORTHY at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with the code NEWSWORTHY. And after your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you.
Okay, now back to Work Wednesday. There's a new trend happening in the American labor market, and it's being called the silver economy. Older workers are staying in the workforce or returning to it instead of retiring. But more often, seniors aren't going for the same jobs they had when they were younger. Instead, they're taking on jobs as freelancers, part-timers, or consultants. Many employers say it's been especially helpful since they have also seen a surge of new, younger workers. And the older generation can help them out by sharing knowledge and skills they've honed over the last few decades and acting as mentors. Other older people are also setting up their own businesses so they can keep working, but on their own terms. Of course, for seniors, the paycheck can help a lot, especially as inflation takes a toll on Americans everywhere. But the benefits can go beyond that, especially for people who seek purpose and community from their jobs. And of course, staying active and engaged, both mentally and physically, is always encouraged. Either way, the golden years are looking a little different now than they used to, and workplaces that see the value in it seem to be benefiting. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with all the biggest news of the day. Until then, have a great day.